Hello there, YouTube, and welcome back. I am Necrostevo, and I am pleased today to announce that I will be joining LTM, aka Low Tier Mayhem, Season number 2. I would like to extend my utmost thanks to Diet Tight for reaching out and extending an invitation so that I can join the mayhem and see what the shadows can do here on a true low tier type approach. Now, let us first review the rules in LTM, as this league immediately nixes several Pokemon from the draft pool. We have a little bit of experience with this because of our experience in PPL in X. Now, how has that experience prepared us for LTM? Well, let's review the rules. First off, draft order. We were number 4 overall out of 16 coaches. That means that our positioning will allow us to basically get almost anything that we want. The other thing that's nice about low tier, far fewer legendary Pokemon, which means many more viable choices for yours truly. We had 100 points to build a team of 9 to 11 Pokemon. And with those same points, we could also draft up to 3 Terra Captains after paying the Terra tax. For example, if a Pokemon would normally be 12 points to draft, but you could Terra it, then that Pokemon might be a 13 or more points to draft instead. And we only received 24 points in order to draft our Terra picks with the Terra tax. So, with all these rules in place, whom did the Victorian Shadows pick up for our round 1 pick? Speaking of the Shadows, that's who we got for the round 1 pick. We picked up Gengar. In this format, Gengar's speed and nearly unresisted stab type combination alongside a variety of utility moves show exactly why it is in the top tier of picks for this season. So Gengar immediately was 16 points out of our 100 point budget. After Gengar, we secured Tinkaton. Fairies and bulky waters and bulky grounds were all at a premium in this setup, as not only were those Pokemon few and far in between, but also they were actually quite costly. We went with Tinkaton as our second pick to not only give us a guaranteed fairy pivot, but also Tinkaton is a nice bulky pivot that is not necessarily passive, with utility options such as Encore and don't forget Thunder Wave, Stealth Rocks. It can use Pickpocket, and I really like the ability to use Gigaton Hammer. I have not gotten to do that in a draft before, so I'm looking forward to see what Tinkaton can bring for us. Tinkaton was 11 points, and then right after Tinkaton, we picked up Terra Mesprit. Mesprit will be our first Terra Captain, and after seeing what other amazing coaches, such as Mountay, or other coaches in not only the PPL, but the SPL have done with Terra Mesprit, I was very pleased to look through my Pokemon boxes and notice that I had like 8 Mesprit across the generations. So I have plenty of Mesprit to train up to do different sets and hopefully take advantage of the insane roll compression that comes along with Mesprit. Mesprit also having the Levitate ability means that if we Terra it, then we can take advantage of additional immunities. For example, a Terra Poison type that with Levitate, now I'm only weak to Psychic type moves, and Psychic type moves are unlikely to be used against Mesprit because it's a Psychic type to start with. Mesprit also has, weirdly, the same attack stat as it does special attack, and this unleashes a bevy of offensive options in addition to utility as well. After Terra Mesprit, we actually went ahead and picked up Terra Flygon. Terra Flygon and Terra Mesprit had that Terra attack, so Terra Mesprit was 13 points and Terra Flygon was 11 points. But like I said before, with ground types in particular, they were at a premium, and I wanted to get a ground type that could offer me a good offensive presence and not be passive here. Now with Flygon and Terra typing, the obvious Terra type is going to be normal for those really strong boom bursts, or maybe Steel to take advantage of the Terra Levitate, but I really look forward to using Flygon's coverage and even Terra Bug in order to take advantage of its pivoting potential or ability to set up or in a variety of different moves between Dragon Dance sets, Scarf, Banded, or Specs. So thank you Flygon for joining the team. After Flygon, you'll notice there that we don't have any removal for our team, so I did decide to pick up Bramblegast. That was a tough round because I originally wanted Blastoise for that slot, and it got sniped for me one turn before it was my turn to pick. So I did decide to pivot and go for a Bramblegast instead. I do have a duo of ghost offensive types doing this. However, there are not that many viable normal types for taking hits here, and Gengar and Bramblegast both have secondary stab type options that will be able to effectively punish most normal types trying to swap in. Bramblegast we did also use in the PPL NX, so it is a Pokemon I already have bred, and on the plus side, with Bramblegast we'll be able to play around with that Wind Rider ability and hopefully have some immunities to flying alongside the immunities to normal and fighting. After Bramblegast, I did decide that I wanted to round out my grass, water, fire core. Unfortunately, we were sniped yet again. Originally, I wanted Incineroar for my grass, water, fire core because Incineroar being a dark type would have fit in very nicely for what we were doing. However, we pivot as always, and I ended up picking up Vaporeon for 10 points and Arcanine for 13 points. Arcanine was very expensive, but I was pleased to see that it was still on the board. It was not my first fire pick, but I did get some interesting items here. So number one, between Vaporeon and Arcanine, we get some interesting utility options that we do not already have, such as Intimidate, Flip Turn. We also get Wish support, and Arcanine can be offensive or defensive depending on the types of spreads that you put on it. Vaporeon can also serve a little bit more offensive role, but it is a little bit more passive, and that is why I wanted Blastoise initially. Now my next pick was a Pokemon that I actually was planning to pick from turn 1. I went to my beautiful fiance, Stariana, and I said to her, "Hey baby, what Pokemon do you want me to use?" And she said Bellibolt, so gosh darn it, the Shadows pick up Bellibolt because that frog is adorable and it will be a fantastic bulky pivot for this team. On top of having 2 Pokemon immune to ground type moves, so far in this draft we also have a Pokemon that resists ground type moves, and Bellibolt's only weakness is ground, so it will serve as a great bulky pivot, being able to get in and off the field with Volt Switch, with great utility options such as Slack Off to keep it healthy, Toxic, Soak to change my opponent's types, and also it can punish ground type swapping in with Muddy Water. So I am really looking forward to using Bellibolt, and because of my partner, once again, shout out Stariana, I have a shiny one, so I'm very excited to use Bellibolt this season. After Bellibolt, we did decide to just look at what do we need to patch up holes in our team. And I looked at my team and I really suffered for not having a good Dark Resist. So I have 3 slots left and I only had 12 points left to somehow figure out a Dark Resist and an offensive fighting type. For these last 3 picks, I decided to go with Flamigo. Flamigo was actually a great suggestion by Vepsis, and you all might know Vepsis. He's not only a trainer who has bested us several times in the battlefield, but also he was the LTM champion in Season 1. So shout out to Vepsis. Yes, Chef, we will be picking up Flamigo. I am looking forward to using this Pokemon with this team, because not only does the flying fighting type pair amazingly with Gengar for just general offenses, but really bulky steel types that try to switch in maybe with an Assault Vest to take on Gengar, they won't be able to weather the storm and the beating coming down from Flamigo. The other thing that's nice here is that Flamigo does get access to the Scrappy ability, so if my opponents try to bring their own ghost types, maybe to try to outspeed me or to just switch in on fighting type moves, Flamigo will still be able to smack them. So I was very appreciative, Vepsis, for this suggestion. Thank you. My last two picks are Mabosstiff and Murkrow. So I mentioned before we were missing Dark Resists. I admit I really was not necessarily... I wasn't really looking at Mabosstiff at all to start with. And that's because I thought Mabosstiff was like base 60 speed, but he actually has a slightly above average speed stat, which I was appreciative of, and great attack, and because his HP stat is a little bit higher, good, decent overall bulk. So he would be able to take a dark type move, and I also appreciate if I have opponents who are trying to intimidate cycle, I can bring him with Guard Dog, and then I can have a good pivot into something trying to use Intimidate on. The final pick for the team was Murkrow, which shout outs to Elo Dakota. We have Little Hat on our team once again. I did draft Murkrow in PPL Season 3, but it actually never ended up coming off the bench. So here I did find Murkrow interesting just because of the Tailwind ability alongside Brambleghast. That could be an interesting pairing. Murkrow could also help me if my opponents had something faster than my Gengar. Priority Thunder Wave is just always nice to have just for the yellow color, even though our previous experience with the yellow color did not work out in our favor in that battle against Kaz. But we have to. We just have to. So that is our team overall. You can see that we ended with 0 points, and I also perfectly spent my Terra budget as well. So this was a very efficient draft, and for around, for position 4, I believe that I really enjoy this team. So let me know what you all think of the team, and look forward to our first match going up next week. Thank you so much, OG Albina, for having me here in LTM. And again, shout outs to Diet Type for the invitation to join. I am super excited to be going up against so many new coaches and several coaches that I've been watching for quite some time. So let me know if you all are hype, what changes you might make to the draft, any weaknesses you see. And I will see you in the shadows very soon. Good night, everyone.